Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee County. And it's an honor to see all the faces here to join us this morning. Of course, we're here to celebrate and appreciate those folks that were deeply involved in first responders communications here in Coffee County. This has been a very long endeavor, and the day has finally gotten here where we can formally recognize our new statewide communications available for all of the first responders of Coffee County. It would be remiss for me to say a little bit about our field representatives, your deputy sheriffs, your paramedics, EMTs, your firemen, paid and volunteer, of how hard it's been in the last few years for them to be able to communicate in a stressful time or a time of need. Many folks come to me, and when we talked about this project and the amount of money that it was costing, of why there was such an importance for this availability of communications. And people don't realize, the general public does not realize, that our communications is our first responders' lifeline. For me, when you're out in rural Coffee County, whether on a rural road or on one of our interstates, and you're trying to take into custody 3 violent felons, and you're by yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're hollering for help, you're hoping somebody will answer on the other side of that transmission. Today, we're able to do that. Today, we're able to communicate with our partners at the state of Tennessee, with the Department of Safety, Highway Patrol, or TBI, and if need be, in a major time of crisis, even our National Guard. And there's been a lot of vision put into this. We've had a lot of people involved in the development, engineering, and promoting this system. The state of Tennessee, in the last 2 administrations, have spent millions of dollars thinking of the first responder. And I want to personally thank them today, thank them for interjecting those funds and having a vision. We cannot put a price on our first responders' safety. And even though it may not be building roads, it may not be bringing economic development, but what people don't understand behind the curtain, those first responders are there supporting those industries, so supporting that infrastructure. Because with infrastructure comes people, and with people comes emergencies. And when we have those emergencies, then we're called upon to respond to those emergencies, and we need to be able to communicate. With that being said, I would like to have a presentation of the colors, and the Coffee County Sheriff's Department Honor Guard will be presenting our colors.
Detail, post, colors. Present arms.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
If you would remain standing, please, and I would like to ask Mayor Marilyn Howard to come and say a word of prayer, please.
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed is your name. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus, you sent your disciples out as sheep among wolves. And you told your disciples as they left, be wise as snakes, but innocent as doves. Lord, I lift every man and woman that is sent out. Lord, I lift the officers that give the orders to go out, Lord. And Lord, as they go out, Lord, I ask, Lord, that you give them wisdom, Lord. I thank you for this communication system, Lord. Helps them to be wise. And Lord, with that wisdom, Lord, I ask them to show mercy, Lord. And I thank you, Lord, the officers that I know and those in over those officers, Lord. I do show those. I see the witness of how they have gone out, Lord, not knowing what they're facing, Lord, but they've gone out with wisdom, Lord. And I thank you, Lord, that you have given us new ways of knowing what's going on out there in communications, Lord. And Lord, I thank you, Lord, for those that have said, yes, we will put that money in good communications so that our officers will go out with knowledge of what's going on. And Lord, those entrapped, Lord, that they're out there alone, Lord, they can make that call, Lord, and they can have backup. Lord, I bless each officer, Lord, and whatever they come upon, Lord, that, Lord, they might not know the Romans road, Lord, but they can show mercy and kindness, Lord, and sometimes the dying words that they give, Lord, or just the kindness or the hand holding or just getting others out there, Lord. Lord, continue to give them that mercy and that grace as they do their jobs every day. And I lift up everyone in this room. In your holy name, Jesus, I lift this up. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Mayor. I'm Sheriff Chad Parton here in Coffee County. I'm honored to be your sheriff, and I'm honored to be in front of you today. I'm also honored to be with these folks that sit behind me. These folks have been very critical in this project. I'll give you a real quick brief history of how this come about for us in Coffee County. Soon after I was elected in 2018, I had a gentleman come into my office one day. That gentleman's name was Mr. Arnold Hooper. Mr. Hooper came in and basically was introducing himself as my neighbor, as a neighbor to Coffee County, as a neighbor to the Coffee County Sheriff's Office. But at that time, Mr. Hooper was the director of the Tennessee Advanced Communications Network with the acronym Tacn. Mr. Hooper comes in and he's explaining all the work that the state of Tennessee has done in providing infrastructure. And when we say infrastructure, we're talking about the radio towers and the equipment, the computer equipment and the radio equipment needed to go into those towers and the support that is taken to get that equipment to work. And he's kind of laid out the state map to me, and he's laid out all across from Mountain City all the way up to Dyersburg and down to Memphis and all across our state. And I was a little reluctant. I was accustomed to 30 years of what we had here, and that I wasn't really convinced that it would work in our county because of the terrain that we have in Coffee County. But we got through that. And he gave me a little Scooby snack. He saw that I was a young child, and he thought that I needed a Scooby snack. So that Scooby snack was some newer radios that our Tennessee Highway Patrol and other state agencies were using. And he said, Sheriff, take these radios and go forth. Go try them. And report back to me how you like it. Well, in a few weeks, I called Arnold and I said, how do I get some more snacks? So off to the races we went. The sheriff's office has been on Tacn in administrative and investigations and narcotics for going on 3 years now. We funded it through our department, and we tried the system. From there, we had some funding come available through our American Rescue Plan monies. I was in several meetings with Motorola, and we presented a plan, and that plan is now a reality. 3 years ago, when this come out, I sat down with my Chief Frank Watkins at the Sheriff's Office, and we talked about all those things like I talked about, trying to get people in custody and trying to reach our dispatchers late at night, middle of the day, in rural areas of our county. We talked about how our SROs in our rural elementary schools were not able to communicate to their dispatch, could not communicate to their fellow officers when they're in those schools. Mr. Hooper and his staff in the state of Tennessee put that to rest with the infrastructure that Governor Lee, Commissioner Long, Commissioner Delonte, Colonel Perry, and those before them got going and put together. And I'm happy to say now that all of my SROs in Coffee County, all of my rural volunteer firemen, and all of my city firemen, when they go into those school buildings, they can communicate. My SROs can hear what's going on around their schools. That is their curtilage. That is their area of responsibility. They need to know if there's a crisis going on around those schools. That sold me job one that we had to push for this system. So with the partnership of Motorola and Tacn and our other partners in safety here in Coffee County, we were able to secure the funds, and we were able to make this dream become a reality. And I'm very thankful for it today. With that being said, I'd like to introduce you to a man that has been a mentor to me since I've been sheriff, a man that I have watched my entire career because his name was synonymous in the news of being a good crime fighter. And we had a governor that was elected just over 4 years ago that had a vision to put this man in a position that brings safety and security to this state. And this man's name is Commissioner Jeff Long. Thank you. Come up, Commissioner.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everyone. And on behalf of Governor Bill Lee, I'd like to congratulate all the leaders of Coffee County and the first responders of Coffee County for joining the Tacn network. By statute, the Tacn network is administered through the Department of Safety and Homeland Security and funded by our state legislature and our governor. Therefore, I want to thank personally Senator Janice Boland, Representative Rush Bricken, who are in attendance today, and also for their continued support for the Tacn network. They have both voted for this to provide these very, very valuable response tools to our local responders, and thank you both for that very, very much. Thank you and the other members of the legislature that Tacn will continue to save lives across Tennessee. You know, we all have been in business long enough together to know that they probably are tired of hearing me say this, but after 9/11, it is a shame that still today law enforcement and first responders can't talk to each other on radios. Billions of dollars were given out after the 9/11 survey because the New York Fire Department and New York Police Department could not talk to each other during that day. The issue should have been solved then, but selfishly, when that money was given out, there were no standards that were set for a common system for every agency to get on. So a lot of agencies went out and bought new radios, which they should do, but they got independent radios that wouldn't talk to anybody else. So our vision now is just to have every first responder in the state of Tennessee be on a common system to where in the case of an emergency, we can all switch over to a channel and be able to talk to each other. This started in 2008 in the state of Tennessee, where the governor at that time, Governor Phil Bredesen, was wanting to fund first responders with a radio system statewide. However, the revenues were short during that time because of the economic times in our state, and only the Tennessee Highway Patrol was funded 4 new radios. I'm proud to tell you that now that has progressed through the years, and we're adding on new agencies every day to our system, and as of right now, we're serving over 58,000 users across the state of Tennessee. I'm proud that Coffee County has joined in this group and be recognized as one of the best in public safety and also in the county's history of the largest investment for public safety at one time. You will receive statewide communication operability and cost savings it delivers. The good thing about this system, it will save you money because it will improve your system, but it will eliminate duplicating infrastructures and maintenance because it'll all be included together. This will be part of a reliable countywide and statewide communications system. I can attest that on Christmas morning, we were all downtown Nashville after the bombing on 2nd Avenue, and our cell phones shortly after we were there on site went out. Nobody could talk to each other if you had AT&T in particular, because the AT&T switch system for about 5 southeastern states was right across the street from where the bomb took the effect. I can tell you the Tacn radio system never failed that day. We were able to talk to each other on our radios the entire time, and the entire time that the rebuilding was taking place there on 2nd Avenue in Nashville. Also, y'all are very, very familiar with your own situations here that you have major impact in your county and in your communities, and that's the Bonnaroo Festival. We now will be able to talk to the Highway Patrol, the city police, the county sheriff's office, all first responders, and everybody will be able to have a common channel that we can all get on and be able to talk and save lives here in your local community. Also, you have 30 miles of interstate that you also are helpful on, that help our troopers with accidents and responses and all the first responders responding to those. This also will give us coverage in that area that we will have. City of Tullahoma, thank you. I understand you have funding started to try to get onto the system. I applaud you, we welcome you, and we look forward to you being with us in the joint venture and being 100% covered by Tacn. As the sheriff said, first responders understand this. They understand the responsibility of needing backup or needing somebody emergency to get to them. Also, this is going to save lives. We plan eventually to put radios in the hospitals and also in the ambulances across the state. A lot of the local hospitals, as you know, are having to close because of the financial aspect. They're having to go a further distance, and especially to trauma centers in Nashville, Chattanooga, or wherever. This will give them the opportunity to have direct contact with that trauma center once they're in those ambulances traveling for saving lives across our state. Again, to the leadership of Coffee County, Tullahoma, Manchester, all first responders and everybody, thank you for joining. We look forward to your partnership in this, and we will all make it a better day and a better system for all of your citizens and for all the citizens of Tennessee. Thank you. Let me make a presentation. We have started giving a tower when we have areas that come on to the Tacn system. This is actually what the tower looks like. So, Sheriff, on behalf of Tacn, I'm sure you'll put this wherever it needs to go in your county to get recognition.
Thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate it, and I hope we can put this in a place where we can park some fire trucks and patrol cars and ambulances around it.
I got a sample THP car. I'll
All
give you
right,
one.
thank you. I'd like for Mayor Matheny and Mayor Howard to come up and say a few words if they don't mind.
I'll just say that I was teasing, but probably so, when Sheriff Chad brought Tullahoma on, I told him, I said, you can sell a screen door on a submarine. That's true. he really promoted this. But I don't know how many of you know Ben Sneed, but he carried a gun, walked door to door in Afghanistan, and I said, this job that you're doing now in the police department in Manchester probably is easy compared to what you were used to. And he said, no, I pretty much knew what I was getting into when I went door to door in Afghanistan, and I had backup. He said, but when you stop a car, you do not know whether that person in there is just a nice guy or a nice lady speeding. You don't know whether it's a family, or you don't know whether it's somebody who's murdered his family. And I said, well, how has the radios helped? He said, I can get back up. I still don't know what I'm walking into, but I feel like I'm like in Afghanistan. I can immediately get back up. And if I'm in a school, I can get back up. So, Chad, you sold a good thing when you sold this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Howard and Commissioner Long for coming, and Commissioner Bryan for coming, and Representative Brick and Senator Boland, and all the volunteer agencies in the county and all the full-time agencies in the county and the cities all have shown up, as well as all three of our school boards, and have our 911 system here, and a lot of elected officials. We have Franklin County Sheriff's Office here, and several county commissioners are here, I see, that share the table with me. So this is, the entire community's come together, not just Coffee County, but regionally, to stress the importance of communication. You know, we all get it hounded into us, whether it's personal relationships or at work or anything else, but when absolute microseconds matter, communication is the most important thing on the planet. When I first started as a police officer in the early 90s, I was in the city of Baxter. If anybody ever knew about Western Putnam County back then, there was almost no radio coverage. There was much less than there was. And I can remember how frightening those days were when, number one, I was by myself out there because the county had nobody. But number two, you'd say those words, I'm going off portable. You know, I'm getting out of the car and off the portable, I've got no communication, dropping down some hill, some valley, or I'm going to some neighborhood where we knew there was none, or patrolling 100 square miles where there was none. So the fact that we've embraced never to allow that to happen to us any longer is an incredible feat moving forward, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate the commitment that all these agencies made. The former county commission, Commissioner Bryan, did heavy lifting politically to make this happen. And it's not just, anybody can have a good idea, but you've got to have the money to meet that good idea. And I applaud everybody that's made that happen, so thank you.
Thank you, mayors. Thank you so much. And we cannot do this without our leaders. It's very difficult to have to come in and ask for large amounts of money, but these mayors and commissioners and aldermen have been very supportive, and I really appreciate it. And to go back on Commissioner Long pointing out with Tullahoma, we just, I hope we've secured the funding. I hope the vote's still good. And I'm glad to have our partners from Tullahoma here with us today, and that does give us 100% coverage. With that being said, speaking of money, I'd like to ask Janice Boland and Russ Bricken to come up and say a few words.
It's not the money. Good morning. It is an honor to be here, and thank you all for being here, because this is a stellar day for Coffee County, and we appreciate the work of the sheriff and the commissioner and all those that are involved. But I want to ask y'all to go backwards with me just a little bit to 9/11, and that is when we first realized that there was no interoperability between the different emergency responders. No one ever thought about that until we, and how many in this room remember where you were when 9/11 you first heard about it? It's one of those times you always remember, and I think as a citizenry, we will always remember that. So we thought they would get that fixed right away, just as the commissioner said, and that just didn't happen. Well, about 5 years ago, I believe it was, is when the federal government gave AT&T $7 billion to take over that spectrum and to create the net that would get everyone able to communicate with each other. And so you have to subscribe, though. You have to be part of it. But then go back to 2020 in Tennessee, March of 2020. We were about to recess, not knowing what we were going to be coming back to, because that's when the pandemic was, taking over everything, it seemed. So we were about to recess, hoped to reopen in June, but we were not sure. But in the meantime, I was carrying legislation. Now, there's no Hebrew word for coincidence. So I don't think it was a coincidence. I think that was God ordained that I had that legislation before the Senate that year for 911. What it would do, Tennessee had formed a 911 board so that there could be communications and standards between every county's 911, but the different counties, of course, have different financial capabilities, and there was not equity there. So Tennessee formed a 911 board, and they have a user fee on every cell phone that goes in monthly that funds that board and funds each county's equipment so that Clay County and Grundy County will have the same level of technology that Davidson County and Shelby County have. So that is equity amongst that money, the way it's divided, to help each county have the equipment they need to correctly respond to 911 calls. It was a tough sell, believe it or not, but one of the people opposing my bill actually, I think, helped the bill to pass. He said, we're just about to embark on areas where we don't have any idea what's going to happen. How can we say we're going to raise from $132 to $150 that monthly charge on 911? And I said, sir, thank you for making my case. We have no idea what we're embarking into. We have no idea what we're going to face, but we all know with surety that it will involve our 911 responders across the state of Tennessee. And we've got to make certain that those boards have adequate funding. So all of this works hand in glove. I'm so glad Coffee County has subscribed and joined in, and I'm sure that other counties are coming on board as well. But I do want to thank everyone here for being here to recognize the value of all the people that are sitting there, just as Mayor Howard said, not knowing what they're going to be facing when that call for their particular agency comes in. We're blessed to have people willing to serve the Lord, serve us, and serve the state of Tennessee. Thank you.
It's always tough to follow Janice. Good to be here this morning. Certainly good to be in front of such great leaders here, the mayor, certainly the commissioner, and our sheriff. So certainly Tacn is a big deal. It certainly will save lives and certainly protect and help our first responders. So I'm so excited that our county is fully on board. I see Commissioner Bryan up here. I have to go back to my 20-plus years on the county commission and think about all the times at Budget and Finance where things would come up. Usually it was along the lines of, well, we just bought those radios 2-3 years ago, and now they're not communicating with the tower or other radios, so they're obsolete. And it would just be a funding cycle over and over again. And I'm not sure where all those radios are, in some storage room somewhere, I guess. But anyway, I hope this Tacn system is universal, the equipment is in place for the long haul. And for all the first responders, please take care of your equipment. We had a lot of money in what I call juice funding over the last several years. We might not be fortunate to have it in the years ahead. So take care of the towers, take care of the equipment, so this system will last a long time, and thank you.
Those two individuals have been very instrumental in this system, and without your support at the state legislature and paying attention to us when we call, this couldn't be done. So thank you very much. It's very, very important. I've got a gentleman that's not sitting up here with us, but he's going to, and I'd like to ask Arnold Hooper to come up for just a minute. Arnold. Now, Arnold is definitely a good candy salesman. The mayor's bragging about me selling screen doors to submarines. Now, this gentleman right here, Arnold was the now retired director of Tacn, and he works for Buford Golf and Associates now, which is the consultants to Tacn and the engineering group that put this system out. And Arnold is still working every day, and Arnold is my friend. Arnold is your friend. Arnold is every first responder in the state of Tennessee's friend. And Arnold had the vision. Arnold came from Hamilton County, and he brought some good people with him when he came. And I'm ever so grateful that somebody had the vision to bring Arnold to Nashville. And I'm ever so thankful the good Lord put Arnold in my life. And today is a happy and joyful day. And Arnold, I want to recognize you, and I'd like to ask you to speak a few words about the system to the people.
Well, I just want to, again, thank the legislature for the funding that they have provided since 2011, when they initially funded Tacn 1 and gave the Highway Patrol and Department of Safety the support that it really needed in the communications. Took them out of the old 1960s system and brought them forward. But as Chad said, I have a heart for public safety. I look back, and a good friend of mine's here. We run as teenagers together in volunteer fire department. And from that, my career path and public safety joined, and it's just been a great career, and thankful for each of you, and glad for anything I've been able to do.
Thank you, Arnold. I've got a little something special here, and I'd like to recognize Arnold. And folks, I can't stress enough of the importance that Arnold brought to us. Arnold was the man that was coming to us local leaders, and talking the system up, and allowing us to share within the state system. And Arnold and I have had hours and hours of communication. We've been to several meetings together. We've been in this room together, and Arnold up and retired on us, but I'm glad that he's still around in a consulting way. But Arnold, today we want to present you with a plaque, and Chief Watkins will read it.
This is an achievement award presented to Arnold Hooper for the commitment and dedication to the citizens and first responders of Coffee County for the implementation of Tacn in Coffee County, February 27th, 2023. Thank you, Arnold.
Give you a little something there. Now, you can't go to the casino with that.
I can't.
No. Thank you. Well, on the local level, stay with me here for just a second, Chief. On the local level, we knew we had, the county was going to be receiving ARP money, and there was a lot of ideas and plans with all municipalities and counties across the state of projects they wanted to do with their ARP funding. I managed to jump out in the drag race really quick here in Coffee County, and I've got a couple of folks cornered up and said, hey, this is an opportunity to do something that we need to do. It's very critical, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do it with this funding. And I gathered some folks up, and we went and paid one of our county commissioners a visit. And we took him off a tractor and bush hog in his backyard, and he invited us into his home, and I think may have offered some sweet tea and lemonade. And he was shocked that these individuals had come, and I think his statement was, I've never had a visit like this before. So Commissioner Bobby Bryan spent many, many years in this room as a representative of his district in rural Coffee County. Mr. Bryan's now retired. Had it not been solely for Mr. Bryan and his fellow commissioners and him leading the charge, this couldn't have happened for us on the local level. When we sold this project to Bobby Bryan, it was golden. When Bobby Bryan spoke, it was golden. when the commissioners asked Bobby Bryan the questions, Bobby Bryan said, this is a no-brainer, folks. We gotta take care of these men and women of the first responders in Coffee County. So today, I've asked retired Commissioner Bobby Bryan to be here with us, and I'm happy to have him. He's been a lifelong friend and a lifelong neighbor to my family. And I appreciate his friendship, and I appreciate the many, many years of leadership. Now, we've had some knockdown drag-outs, and we've butted heads. But he's always, always give good guidance. And Mr. Bryan, I'd like for you to come up. And you could say a few words if you would like.
Well, I don't have the words that the sheriff does, but, and the gift for gab that the sheriff has. But, I appreciate the work of the sheriff and his efforts and initiative in bringing, this system to Coffee County. And my hope is that, thank the taxpayers of this county and the taxpayers of this state and taxpayers of this nation for allowing us to access funds and monies that will enhance, hopefully, law enforcement and emergency responders' work for the benefit of citizens of Coffee County. And I feel there are so many people here to thank, and from communications personnel to Homeland Security people, first responders, our local county, state law enforcement. It's just too many people to thank, but each one of you played a role. And I'm just appreciate I had the opportunity to help provide this with your help to the people of Coffee County. I hope it does enhance the work of all our law enforcement agencies and first responders in Coffee County. Thank you, Sheriff, and thank everyone for their efforts.
Thank you, guys. Now I've also got an additional, I think, surprise for you, Mr. Bryan. Keenan, are you in the room? Keenan, would you come up, please? Now, I would not want this day to pass and have Commissioner Bryan up here and not have our good friend Keenan from Motorola up here. And we've always thought there might have been some type of relationship because
I was just going to tell the story about being at his house. We were there for probably the better part of 2 hours, and I said 3 words the entire time. So Mr. Bryan asked, so who all's getting on these radios? And Chad said, Sheriff, Volunteer Fire Rescue Squad, Manchester Police. And he's about to move on to the next topic, and I said, and Animal Control. And you said, well, they need them.
Well, we'd like to present you with this right here, Bobby.
Bobby, and this is to you, presented to Bobby Bryan for your commitment and dedication to the citizens and first responder of Coffee County for the implementation of Tacn in Coffee County from the Coffee County Sheriff's Department, February 27th, 2023. Thank you. Thank you.
I've got, before we get into roll call and our official cutting of the ribbon, I'd like for Commissioner Long, my friend Commissioner Long, to come up. So I get elected, and y'all know him as commissioner. I know him as sheriff. I also know him as a DA, a TBI agent, and a fire marshal. And I'm always honored to be in his presence. And my good friend and mentor, Sheriff Fuller's here today from Franklin County. And we've shared many a room together and hours of training. And when I was in sheriff school, and I was in baby sheriff school, Sheriff Long came and did a presentation and of integrity, honesty is bar none. He has been the most interactive commissioner of safety that I can remember in many years. We've had a lot of good commissioners of safety. This gentleman is all about partnerships with our local governments and local responders. And when a commissioner of safety says, I want my helicopter to be able to talk to the loneliest fireman on the interstate at a scene, that means a lot. And I'm really appreciative for that. And that means a lot. When the state opens their hands and opens their arms and welcomes you into their house and to join in with them, for those of us who's been doing this 30 years, we know how hard that is, and we appreciate that, Commissioner. And I appreciate you being a friend and a mentor. and I want to present you with a plaque. And it's an achievement presented to Commissioner Jeff Long for your commitment and dedication to the citizens and first responders of Coffee County for the implementation of Tacn in Coffee County Sheriff's Office, February 27, 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
So, we've talked all about this system and about all of its good work, and I guess the time has come. And we wanna do a little demonstration. And our first demonstration here is gonna be the interoperability of how we can be in this room, in this steel structure, of how we can communicate from Manchester, Tennessee, all the way to the far eastern part of the state and the far western part of the state. So let's, Colonel, keep your fingers crossed. Coffee County Sheriff's Office to Memphis, Jackson, THP statewide.
This is Jackson, Memphis, THP, go ahead.
Radio check from Manchester, Tennessee.
10-4, sir, you're loud and clear.
Thank you. Coffee County Sheriff's Office to Knoxville, THP.
Knoxville, THP, go ahead.
Calling from Manchester, how do you read this unit?
You're loud and clear.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we've never, ever been able to do that. And with the capability of these radios, with the Smart Connect and radio over IP, gives us long-range communications. And that is just exactly what Commissioner Safety has demonstrated and is working. I will now test our local communications. 400 to Coffee County on Coffee Main. How do you read this unit?
Coffee County to 400, we copy you loud and clear.
10-4, thank you. I will now go over in the same radio to our Coffee County Emergency Medical Services channel. $400 Coffee County on EMS.
400, go ahead.
How you read this unit?
You're copy you loud and clear.
10-4, thank you. I will now demonstrate fire.
10-4, you're welcome.
Coffee County 400 on County FireNet.
Coffee County to 400, go ahead.
How do you read this unit?
We copy you loud and clear.
10-4, thank you. I officially open up the statewide Tacn system in all of Coffee County for rural fire, law enforcement, and EMS. Thank you. Well, that being said, just like every other Chamber of Commerce institution, we're gonna have an official ribbon cutting today. So all of y'all come up, and I would like to ask the law enforcement and fire folks, Chief Chambers and your staff, Dale, Chief Sipe, Chief Williams, Chief Kenny, Pearson, and your staff, everybody in law enforcement, EMS, and fire there's Director Barner. Come on up. That is a pair of scissors. So if everybody just kind of line up back here behind, we'll string the ribbon out front. We get two deputy sheriffs here to kind of center this up, and we get the troopers up here. Bobby, I'd like for you and Commissioner Long to come up and give us these honors.
No, you cut it.
Come on.
You had the money.
Come on, Bobby.
Come on, you had the money.
Come
on, I'll show you.
You were whacking weeds when we started this.
Here, get on this thing right here. I need some help. You ready? You ready? Tell us when you're ready. Ready? One. Good. Appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate all of you in attendance today. This has really been a remarkable project. I'm glad to see our superintendents of schools here today. They are tremendously a partner in safety, and we've got a lot of good things coming in the next year, and all of our other elected officials here, and I'd be remiss not to recognize another partner in the room, but I'm glad my father's here. And soon to be, wishing him a happy birthday. So I'll do a public shout out with that today, but I appreciate Dad being here today. But all of you, thank you. Please be safe in your work, be safe in your duties, and be safe in your travels. Thank you. Thank you.